Mma would sit at the front of the class, but no one wanted to sit near her. All the chairs around her would be empty. The lecturers who admired her in the first week now ignored her. During a class, the teacher announced a group assignment. "When I call your name, please join your group," the teacher instructed. "This assignment is important and counts for 25% of your final marks." The teacher began calling out names. When he called Elle, she was assigned to Group B, which included some of the friends she had made in the first week. As she stood up, they started laughing. One of the girls sneered. "Didn't you say your name is Mma? I knew it. You could never be her." They all laughed, and one of them told the teacher, "We don't want Elle in our group." The teacher frowned. "You cannot choose who is in your group. Only I can decide that." Suddenly, another group raised their hands. "We don't want tadpole in our group either." One of them shouted, referring to a lady with pimples who was always quiet and looked down on. The class erupted in laughter. The teacher struggled to calm everyone down. Mma stood up and said firmly, "Don't worry about me, sir. I will do the assignment with her." The room fell silent. Some students muttered, "You deserve each other." Mma replied confidently, "Of course we do." The lady they called Tadpole, whose real name was Obioma, looked very sad and ran out of the class. Mma ran after her, calling out, "Please wait." There was a very handsome guy in the corridor calling out to Obioma, looking in Obioma's direction. As Mma ran down the corridor, she accidentally bumped into this handsome guy. His books fell to the floor. Mma quickly glanced up and saw Obioma running to the bathrooms, but she stopped to help the guy pick up his books. "I'm so sorry, Mma said repeatedly. The guy smiled and said, "It's okay, really." After they picked up the books, Mma rushed to find Obioma. The guy gently grabbed her hand and asked, "Please, what's your name?" "My name is Mma," she replied quickly, then ran after Obioma. Other students who saw the handsome guy talking to Mma started laughing. Some said, "She means her name is the opposite of Mma." The girls were gossiping. What is a handsome guy like that doing talking to that hideous girl? Mma ignored the comments and focused on finding Obioma. She finally caught up with her in the bathroom. "Obioma, please don't be sad," Mma said gently. "We will do this assignment together and show them what we can do." Obioma wiped her tears and managed a small smile. "Thank you, Mma. You're the only one who has been kind to me." Obioma moved to sit at the front next to Mma, and they started talking and laughing. During lunch, Mma was usually alone, but one afternoon, as she sat down to eat, she heard voices. "Can we join you?" asked Obioma. To Mma's surprise, Obioma was not alone. The handsome guy she had bumped into was with her. Mma nodded, and they all sat down together. "Thank you for standing up for my sister," the guy said. "My name is Ikechukwu." Mma was taken aback. "Your sister?" "Yes, Obioma is my sister," Ikechukwu replied with a warm smile. Mma was captivated by Ikechukwu. As he spoke, she felt frozen in place. It was love at first sight for her. Ikechukwu continued to talk. "I am in my final year of business management," he said. But Mma barely heard his words. She was lost in her own world, admiring Ikechukwu. She noticed his kind eyes, his gentle smile, and the way he spoke with confidence. Everything about him seemed perfect to her. Obioma noticed Mma's distraction and smiled knowingly. "Mma, are you okay?" Mma snapped back to reality. Yes, I'm fine. It's just nice to have company." Ikechukwu chuckled. "I'm glad we can join you. We could do this more often." Mma nodded, feeling a warmth in her heart. When Mma got to her room, she removed her mask. She thought to herself, I have to take this off so that Ikechukwu can see the real me. But what if he doesn't like me at all? Maybe he only likes the Mma he sees now. Mma started pacing back and forth, wondering if Ikechukwu liked her for who she truly was. Her thoughts were racing. She threw herself on the bed, staring at the ceiling and chuckling to herself. Anyways, I will wait a bit longer, she said softly. Maybe it's better this way for now. She smiled, feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement, not sure what the future held, but hopeful for what might come. The next morning, Mma was very excited. She wore the best outfit she had sewn herself. Obioma noticed and smiled. Why are you all dressed up, Mma? Obioma asked teasingly. Mma just grinned. In class, everyone stared at her. The ladies whispered to each other. The outfit may be beautiful, but it won't take away her hideous face. But from that day on, nothing could take away Mma's happiness. Whenever Obioma told a little joke, Mma would burst out laughing. When lunchtime came, Mma was the first to rush out of the classroom, leaving Obioma behind. Wait for me, Mma, Obioma called out. Mma and Obioma sat at their usual spot. After a while, Mma started to feel anxious. Where is Ikechukwu? Lunch is almost over. Obioma gave her a knowing smile. I don't know. We don't always hang out together, you know. Mma felt a pang of sadness, but suddenly Ikechukwu came running over. Oh, I had to submit my final assignment. Today is my last day here. I will only come back to submit assignments, Ikechukwu explained. He looked at Mma and added, I'm glad you are taking care of my sister, Mma. You have been very kind to her. Mma nodded, trying to hide her disappointment. Ikechukwu noticed and teased. Are you sad that you won't be seeing me anymore, Mma? They both smiled, and Mma quickly said, No, I've been hanging out by myself all this while. Obioma laughed, and they all went back to class. Mma and Obioma became the best of friends. Surprisingly, every now and then, Ikechukwu would come to college and hang out with Mma, giving the excuse of submitting his schoolwork. Mma started thinking they would remain just friends because Ikechukwu never spoke of love or asked her out. She began doubting herself, thinking that wearing the ugly mask might have been a bad idea. Despite her doubts, Mma focused on her studies and her friendship with Obioma. All the work that Mma and Obioma did together was excellent, and they passed with flying colors. As the year went by, everyone got used to seeing them together. They became a well-known ugly pair in college. While many girls were meeting their suitors and experiencing nightlife, Mma and Obioma noticed that no guys were asking them out or even looking their way. This reality was sometimes hard to ignore, especially when they saw their classmates going out on dates and enjoying social events. One evening, as they were studying in their room, Obioma sighed and looked at Mma. Do you ever wonder why no one asks us out, Mma? Mma looked up from her book and smiled sadly. Sometimes, but I think it's because they don't see the real us. They only see what's on the outside. Obioma nodded in agreement. It doesn't bother me much though. I'm happy with how things are. We have each other and we are doing well in our studies. We have our goals and we are achieving them. That's what matters. Even though they sometimes felt left out, Mma and Obioma focused on their dreams and supported each other. As the college term neared its end and holidays approached, Obioma invited Mma to visit her home. My sister is getting married and I would love for you to be there with me during the wedding week, Obioma said warmly. And Ikechukwu would love that too. Mma was delighted by the invitation. As the last day of the term arrived, students were leaving with their luggage, some being picked up by their parents. Obioma and Mma also waited for Obioma's transport outside their residence. A big limousine pulled up in front of them, catching everyone's attention. The driver stepped out, dressed smartly in a uniform, and began loading Obioma and Mma's luggage into the limo. "Wow, a limo!" one of their classmates exclaimed, staring in amazement. Even Mma was surprised. As they got into the limo, their classmates continued to stare. The interior of the car was plush and comfortable, and Mma couldn't help but feel a bit overwhelmed. The limousine drove off, leaving their classmates talking excitedly about what they had just seen. Mma felt a mix of excitement and curiosity about the days ahead, grateful for Obioma's friendship and the new experiences awaiting her. Through the limo window, Mma looked at the mansion on the hill they were approaching. Though Mma's sisters were married to wealthy men, this was different. This was old money, something she had never seen before. Mma exclaimed, "My friend, who are you really?" Obioma just smiled. The limo stopped and the door was opened for them to exit. There were many maids lined up from the car to the front door of the house. As they stepped out of the car, everyone nodded and said, "Welcome, princess," while throwing flowers on the ground for Princess Obioma to walk on. Mma's jaw dropped and she was left speechless. The house was buzzing with preparations for the upcoming wedding. The king and queen welcomed Princess Obioma and Mma warmly. Mma was shown to a grand bedroom that she couldn't believe her eyes. As Mma was making herself at home, she heard a knock on her door. Ikechukwu entered and they both smiled, glad to see each other. They hugged and realized it was their first hug, creating a bit of tension as they let go. "I am so happy to see you, Mma. How are you? Have you passed?" Ikechukwu asked eagerly. Mma laughed. "Slow down, Ike. Is it Ikechukwu or Prince Ikechukwu? I will know when the results come out." Ikechukwu grinned. "Okay, but I know you have passed." They hung out and soon Obioma joined them. They had so much fun together. The wedding was extravagant. Obioma's elder sister married a prince from another kingdom. After the wedding reception, all the maidens gathered to catch the bouquet. Mma caught it, but she wasn't happy because she had no lover. She sighed, looking at the bouquet, feeling a mix of hope and sadness. "Don't worry, Mma," Obioma said, putting a hand on her shoulder. "Your time will come." Ikechukwu, standing nearby, smiled at Mma, adding, "Yes, it will. You deserve all the happiness in the world." Mma looked at them both and felt grateful for their friendship. Feeling exhausted after the wedding, Mma went into the palace's garden, still holding the bouquet. She sighed and yawned. Ikechukwu came to the garden and they sat near the pond, looking at the stars. Ikechukwu reached for Mma's hand, opened it and held it gently. Clearing his throat, Ikechukwu said, "Mma, you are so warm and kind. I feel very happy when you are by my side." Mma couldn't believe her ears. These were the words she had longed to hear from Ikechukwu. She felt her voice catch in her throat, unable to speak. Ikechukwu continued, "Mma, please look at me." Mma turned, blushing, barely lifting her face to meet Ikechukwu's eyes. Ikechukwu took a deep breath and said, "I have never felt this way about anyone else. I love you so much, Mma. When you are not with me, I feel like I can't breathe. But when you are near, everything makes sense. I have loved you since the day you bumped into me." Tears welled up in Mma's eyes. "Really? I have waited to hear this all year long. I love you too, Ikechukwu. I love you very much." They hugged, both of them over the moon. But Mma pulled back slightly and said, Ikechukwu, I have to tell you something. Ikechukwu, excited, held her hand and said, Come, I have to tell my mother about you. I have already told my father. They ran back into the palace. After saying goodbye to the older princess, who was leaving for her honeymoon, everyone gathered inside. Ikechukwu announced, I want to marry Mma. The king and Obioma were happy for him, but the queen stood there, mouth open in shock. Mma took a deep breath and began to speak. I have to say something. I haven't been quite honest with you all, she said. Mma then shared her sister's stories and explained why she had hidden her true appearance. She removed her mask, revealing her true beauty. Everyone was shocked and overwhelmed by how beautiful Mma was. The queen's voice returned quickly. Oh, my daughter, come, let me give you a hug. You are indeed our future queen, so flawless. Ikechukwu was also stunned by Mma's beauty. The queen herself accompanied Mma back to her village to talk to Mma's parents about the marriage proposal. Mma and Ikechukwu were engaged before the college reopened. When the college reopened at the beginning of the year, a function was held to award the best students. Mma was the top student in the fashion design class. As she was called up to the stage to receive her award, she wore her mask. Mma accepted her award, but as she stood to give her speech, she removed her mask. Everyone was shocked and in awe. Ikechukwu shouted from the crowd, "That's my wife, everyone!" That day, no one wanted to go to their classes. The school buzzed with the news of Obioma's wealth, the limos, and the beautiful Mma and her prince. From that day on, everyone wanted to be friends with Mma and Obioma, but they were already inseparable and didn't let anyone else in. Mma's wedding to the prince was held at the end of the year after she graduated with her 2-year diploma. Mma and Obioma opened a very successful company where they designed everything from socks to wedding gowns. The queen and king called Ifeoma and Adaobi's husbands and warned them sternly about their abuse. The husbands promised never to mistreat the two sisters again. Mma and Ikechukwu lived happily ever after. The end.